You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, I'm Stephen Willis, host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, and I'm joined by Ole Miss legend. I will say that Ole Miss legend Mike Espy is on the show, and we're going to talk some of the next generation of Ole Miss receivers that are coming through, and we'll also talk about the unit that's on campus right now. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Can't complain. Happy to be here, man. Appreciate you having me.
You know, we haven't talked in a little bit, and I'm assuming that you saw the Peach Bowl and what happened. Are you a little bit surprised at how much Trey Harris kind of ate those boys up?
You know, I'm not surprised. You know, he was a really good player before he came to Ole Miss. I think when he got to Ole Miss, he just kind of built on top of that. I think, you know, as a receiver, he just started to do well, man. And when you're quarterback and you get in sync and you build confidence together like that, those are the type of things that can happen. The sky's the limit for that guy. He has a lot of abilities. He has good size. He has great ball skills, good speed. And, you know, you wouldn't think a big guy like that was as shifty with the ball as he is. But he's a special player, man, and I look forward to seeing him what he's going to do this year.
Yeah, CBS did a top 100 college football player, and he was the highest-ranked Ole Miss player on the list. And he kind of deserved it. You saw that catch he made against Texas A&M. I think he made 2 catches against Texas A&M, but you're like, how did he even do that?
That's what I'm saying, right? So from a receiver standpoint, he's a big body, right? He's a big body, and you wouldn't expect a guy with that stock to have such agility and the way to maneuver his body to make those type of catches. And like I said, with the ball in his hands, look, he's a threat. He's a threat, and that's just what it is, right? So if I'm Coach Kiffin, which he's already done, right, I'd try to get the ball in his hand quick. Like you saw, we saw against LSU, that winning touchdown he had. He caught the ball, made a couple moves that you might not have expected him to make, and he was out the gate in 88. So I like him, man. He's a great player.
Yeah, and when you look at a player like Trey Harris, he is kind of a roadblock, for lack of a better word, for a young, talented player. The talk of fall practice and fall camp last year was Ayden Williams, and I covered him in the Under Armour All-American game. Yeah, there you go. Covered him and saw him cook Carmani McClain, who was the number 1 cornerback in the country. And you could see the talent. Everybody down in Orlando gushed about that guy. He got into fall camp, and all the Ole Miss coaches were gushing about that guy. And somebody like Trey Harris is probably the only reason that we just haven't been fully introduced to what Ayden Williams can become.
Yeah, you know, Ayden had a great camp. Then at the end of camp, he got COVID. And when he got COVID, he was kind of out. And when he was kind of out, Trey Harris started to go up. And look, that's the name of the game. That's how it is. When Trey Harris got his opportunities, he took full advantage of them. You know, Ayden kind of trickled his way back into the lineup and to the field. But look, I think that was good for Ayden. What I can appreciate from him is the maturity and the growth. If you just kind of listen to what he says and his mindset when he's been doing interviews and things like that, you know, some players either would have hit the portal or been disgruntled and spoken about it openly in this day and age. But he spoke highly of Lane Kiffin and his offense and how it's an NFL system. And, you know, if you do right, do what you're supposed to do in this system, and you can play well, you're a good player, you can make it to the next level. But I look for Ayden to do damage this year, right? He is a special player physically, you know, and there's just some things that you just can't teach. He's a dog. The capital DAWG. He's a dog. And with that ball in his hands, he can do some things too. So I cannot wait for Ayden to start really popping off this year.
So, going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Which Ole Miss receiver in recent memory does Ayden Williams remind you of?
Okay. He reminds me of a Mingo, AJ Brown type, right? So Ayden, not surprisingly, but Ayden's a big guy, but he has really good speed. And then, just like I spoke about Trey Harris, when he catches the ball, he can do some things with that ball in his hands, and he's a great route runner. At a young age, big guys like that, you wouldn't expect them to be able to get in and out of their routes like that. But he has a twitch like not a little guy, but he has twitch like a smaller receiver. He has speed like an intermediate receiver, and he's just a dog, and he could go up and get that ball like a DK Metcalf too.
Yeah, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Dillon Alfred, because he's another guy, and a guy that I think reminds me of the person that we are interviewing today a little bit, playing wide receiver. But first, I do want to let you know about Monopoly Go. We've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime, and the scoreboard is not looking very good. You're feeling low, not sure if your team can pull out that win. That's when you dig deep. Lift your head up, say to yourself, it's time to get back into that game, pull off some bank heist, and take as much of my friends' money as I can. That's right. It's the smash hit mobile game, Monopoly Go, that lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. You can play on dynamic Monopoly boards. You can make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. You can charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go, the free on the App Store app or the Google Play Store. Also, passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is always guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home those huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and you have to turn down the volume with all that screaming and shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you each and every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of that shouting. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Mike, I'm really looking forward to this because we broke down Dillon Alfred is a receiver out of Gaucher. He actually plays at Saraland High School, and he's a guy that just committed to Ole Miss. He's somebody that I've seen you and Shay Hodge promoting on socials over the time, so I was familiar with this athlete. So whenever he committed, I immediately went to Huddle and started looking at the film. And I'm gonna tell you, you might think I'm crazy, but that could have been Madison Central film from 1999. That's what it looked like for me.
Well, at least say Madison Central film from 2001. I graduated in 01. Take me out of the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Hey man, listen, special kid, right? Not just a special player, but a special kid. He has a maturity level at this point in his life. I know that that's a great comparison. I appreciate that, and I'll speak on that. But he has maturity level that I maybe didn't have at that level, meaning I put the work in, and this kid knows how to work, right? He knows how to work. He knows how to take coaching, and he actually takes the coaching and he goes and implements it into his game. When we got together, he was skillful before we got together. There's no denying that. But when we got together, we really enhanced his game. But I saw him take leaps. Everybody saw him take leaps. And with the ball in his hands, oh my God, he is dynamic. I like if I'm a coach, I'm just trying to get the ball in his hands, however, whether it be passes, sweeps, runs, screens, all of that. And he's a playmaker. But to dial it back to the way his game enhanced, man, that kid is a route runner. Like he runs routes. That is a strong statement, but he runs routes just as good as some of the pro guys that I have. And he's heading into his senior year of high school. He's just a technician. And I can appreciate the work that he put in. He comes from a great family. Listen, his mom is amazing. His mom and his dad is amazing, and that's contributed to him and how he is. And he has a great younger brother. And his younger brother, every time Dillon comes to work, his little brother's coming to work too. So Dillon Alfred will be a monster himself.
So, not to change the subject at all, but let's change it a little bit because I don't want to keep you too much time. How familiar are you with Deon Smith? I've seen him on Shay Hodges' socials accounts, but how much can you speak on him and what is he looking like at the moment?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. Listen, he's a really good player. He has the ability, he's special, right? He has the ability to do a lot of things with great ball skills, tremendous ball skills. But if you were to speak on Deon, Shay will probably be the best one to speak on Deon. He's been in the lab with Shay for a very long time. They have a very close relationship, and they put the work in. As regards to Deon, I kind of sit back and I watch the maturation and I watch the growth of his game, and I watch it all, right? And I watch Shay and him put the work in. That guy's special. I can't wait to see what he does it up at Ole Miss. I think with that entire group together, they complement each other, right? You got some guys who do this well. You got some guys who do this well. You have some guys who can do everything. But if I was the receiver coach and Coach Kiffin, that's going to be a tall task to be able to put those guys in different spots and keep everybody happy. The receiver position is we're not divas, okay? But at the same time, everybody is out there to go out there and do a job and do it well and play their role. And every last one of those guys, for the most part, on their roster, can do a lot of different jobs. It's just what job do you want them to do?
Before we get out of here in the modern spread offense, okay, I know you can do everything. You're a wide receiver guy. We just had that conversation. But if you were playing wide receiver in this era of college football, would you be an inside guy?
Oh, probably. I'd probably be in the slot. I think I would be in the slot, a multi-use player, versatile. Put me in the slot, put me in the backfield. My senior year with Noah Mazzoni, that's what he did, right? He would move me around a lot. Now, we don't want to really talk about that season. That's a whole nother story. But Noah Mazzoni, he would, against Tennessee, I had 10 for 110, and I caught 4 or 5 out of the backfield on swing routes. And then he put me in the slot, moved me around, kept me in motion. So I think I got the ability to play outside and win those one-on-one matchups in man-to-man, right? But yeah, I probably would be in the slot. These guys like Trey Harris, those big guys like that, they would probably be outside.
And before we get out of here, how underrated was Kerry Johnson on your team?
Oh my God, underrated, very underrated. Listen, he was a leader, right? Not only just the way he played the game, like he was like a linebacker at the receiver position, right? Tall, lanky, but when he caught the ball, he wasn't trying to make a move, right? He was trying to run you over. That's just the mentality he had. And he had some clutch key catches in a lot of games for us that if he didn't get those, we wouldn't have won the game. But Kerry's very special. But let me just say one more thing about Dillon, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
Like I said, the kid's a technician. He himself is underrated. He sat beside Ryan Williams last year. And listen, Ryan Williams is as talented as player. He's a generational player. So he was kind of like in the shadow a little bit, but he's not anymore. He's not this year. I look for him to take off like a rocket and just continue that and enroll at Ole Miss in January and just pick up where he left off in high school, because the kid's game will equate to the next level, right? The only thing that a coach might say at the next level is maybe get in the weight room more and all that kind of stuff, just to be able to deal with the games in the SEC consistently. But as far as his game, man, he will be ready. That's for sure.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Before we get out of here, Mike, tell everybody about the Battle of the SIP and what is going on in 7-on-7 land come June.
Okay. June 21st in Jackson, Madison, the metro area. Jonathan Mingo, Malik Heath, for you Ole Miss fans. You got DJ Montgomery, Fred Brown, and Will Rogers. We're coming together, and we're having a school 7-on-7 event. We're gonna have 24 high schools in the Jackson Metro, not just the Jackson Metro, but all over Mississippi, coming together and playing ball for the Battle of the SIP, to be the king of the SIP. It'll be a great opportunity for some teams that would never play each other in the regular season to play each other. Like a MRA could play a Oak Grove, like a Madison Central could play. They play Starkville. What I'm just saying, and it'll just give us a good opportunity, not just to have those games, but these players, right? Part of 7-on-7 is being able to get out on the circuit and play against people that you wouldn't normally play against. To play against very talented players on other teams and in other states. That's just regular 7-on-7. Now, this school 7-on-7, right, we'll get to see really good matchups of guys that you will not see in the fall. So I look forward to it. I know they look forward to it. It's going to be a great event. We're going to have a lot of teams out there, a lot of people out there. We're going to have all the on-3, 247 rivals. We're going to have them out there, doing their thing. So I look forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Mike, for coming on the show, and best of luck on that event, and we'll talk to you later, buddy.
Thank you, sir.